Hello and welcome to Legal Basics with Cyro Law Global, and my name is Sian. We are still on the election law series, and today we are going to look at assumption to office of the president. With us is a colleague in the profession. I'll let him introduce himself.
Thank you very much, Sian. My name is Moses Owur. I'm a lawyer. I practice as an advocate in the firm of MMA Advocate LLP. I also consult on constitutional matters, mostly with public institutions, independent commissions, judiciary, and also private organizations.
In our previous episodes, we have looked at the conduct of elections, of nominations, and now we have a result that has declared a president. How does this president go about taking over office?
You need to understand a concept called a peaceful transfer of power that recognizes that power needs to move from one office bearer to the next without drama. And of course, those provisions of the Constitution were developed because of our experience before we enacted the current Constitution. So the Constitution is very detailed in terms of what happens. What happens in case we have a president-elect, assuming the president is elected on August 9th, normally you expect the IBC to declare that president within 48 to 36 hours. It can happen sooner, but after that declaration, you count 14 days after that declaration. Then the Tuesday that follows, the swearing-in ceremony has to happen. Of course, there's also an act of parliament called the Assumption of Office of President Act of 2012 that makes specific provisions, who plans, what arrangements are required, and how it happens.
So on this date of swearing in, are there specific things or specific people that need to be present, specific documents?
Assumption of office, the main thing is to take the oath of office. And for a president-elect to take the oath of office, the Chief Justice must be present. The oath itself is administered by the Registrar of the High Court in the presence of the Chief Justice or in the absence of the Chief Justice, the Deputy Chief Justice. That is the main thing, taking the oath of office. The other important thing is that the outgoing president hands in what they call the instrument of power. If it is not a re-election of the current president. For instance, in 2017, Kibaki did not have to be there. In 2013, Kibaki had to be there because he was transferring power to Uhuru.
He was the incumbent.
In 2013, there's an incumbent, and therefore you don't need to transfer the instruments of power. For instance, in 2022, we definitely need the current president to hand over to the president-elect on the day of swearing in, a sword, and the Constitution. So the Uhuru has to be present in the next swearing-in ceremony.
So does the law provide for what would happen if the incumbent doesn't show up, or if the CJ and the Deputy Chief Justice are not present?
The committee for the Assumption of Office, what you call the Assumption of Office committee, needs to ensure that all these preparations are done. If you look at the committee is very broad. It's chaired by the Secretary to the Cabinet. And there's everyone involved, including the Chief of the Defense Forces, a number of principal secretaries, including the one for Interior, the one in charge of internal security, the one for finance, so all these people, they must ensure that the assumption of office preparations according to the Constitution and the Act are present. So we have not contemplated a situation where it will be beyond this committee to present the outgoing president and the incoming president at that ceremony, in a public ceremony that must happen. And the swearing in must happen within a time, within the Act, between 10 o'clock and 2 p.m. in a public place. So we don't contemplate a situation where someone will go hiding.
Okay.
It must be within the reach of the swearing-in committee.
So if, well, in the very unlikely possibility that it happens, probably we don't have a law that provides for what happens.
Why I started by saying that the law contemplates a peaceful transfer of power is that if you look at what we call Article 239 of the Constitution, it assumes that all security agencies in the country are subject to civilian rule.
Okay.
And the biggest embodiment of civilian rule is the elections, electing representatives to express the sovereignty of the Kenyan people. And therefore, having the security agencies as part of this committee should ensure that the swearing-in ceremony, everyone who needs to be present will be present to hand over power, in my view. So I don't foresee a situation where we will have someone who is outside the reach of our security agencies.
They will smoke him out from wherever.
And of course, that should be the borderline situations. But I assume that is why the law saw it fit. Parliament saw it fit to ensure that security agency are part of that committee. And because they give guard to the president, to both the outgoing president and the incoming president. One of the things that needs to happen, the outgoing president still retains quite a bit of security. They still guard him. The incoming president, as soon as he's declared president-elect, is given security from that date.
Okay.
So, for instance, the security for Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the first elected president after the current constitution. Kibaki was president when we passed the constitution. At the point that Isaac Hassan declared Uhuru the president in Bomas in 2013, the security took him from that point. The security agencies, they give him security from that point.
Okay.
And the internal security agencies are said to, under the law, they must provide security during the swearing-in ceremony. So I believe anyone will be within reach of the security agencies.
All right. So in this country, in the year 2007, we had a swearing-in that was done in a small ceremony, close to the close of the day. Would this pass the threshold that the law holds now?
No. The law contemplates a public event, a public ceremony that must be presided over by the Chief Justice or the Deputy Chief Justice. And there are a number of things. It has to be between 10 and 2.
Okay.
And it cannot happen just any other day.
It must be the Tuesday.
The date is very
critical.
Constant.
Okay.
The date is constitutional. The time is statutory.
Okay.
So the date cannot be moved.
You look so sad about that issue, but I'm about to bring more sad facts.
I was at KICC when the declaration of Kibaki happened, and I saw the entire process, how it unfolded. I know a bit about.
So this is triggering to you.
So I know I witnessed the process almost a very close. I was inside the hall when Kivuitu declared the president. So it's not sad, but from where we understand elections, we make it more. You have a dispassionate relations to elections.
Okay, yeah, for sure. But let me introduce a bit sadder facts. The process that you explained is if everything goes according to plan. But sometimes things don't go according to plan. So sometimes we've gone to an election, we have the result, and then just before we declare who won as the president, they pass on. Or sometimes there's a declaration, but just before the swearing in, the president passes on. What would happen in these situations?
In the first instance, the election is cancelled. So the next election happens within 30 days, I believe, of that cancellation. In the second instance, if it's after the declaration of the result, the deputy president is declared. Is declared and is sworn in as the president. And a new election or a fresh election is held within 60 days of that of the swearing in of the deputy president as president. So that is what happens. And as we say, the law has put almost, the constitution has put almost a fallback plan for all those instances. So if both the deputy and the president, in the unfortunate event they both die, the Speaker of the National Assembly is sworn in, and then the next, a fresh election is held within 60 days of that swearing in.
Okay. Yeah. So the third situation is we've declared, we've sworn in, and then the president dies just maybe a few days or a few months after swearing in.
He's sworn in.
Yes.
And he dies. Yes. The deputy president takes over
for the rest of
the term.
Okay.
So that one is just like any other any other instance where the unfortunate situation that a president dies or a vacancy happens in the office of the president, the deputy is sworn in immediately.
Okay.
And he serves for the remainder of the term.
All right. And the fourth situation is now when we have an election, a presidential petition, and the petition is not successful. When is the assumption to office?
The petition is not successful, which means the president-elect is considered duly elected.
Yes.
So the swearing in happens on the Tuesday after the 7th day after the determination of the result of the Supreme Court.
All right.
So Supreme Court, you say for the Supreme Court determines or renders itself on today, you count 7 days, which will be next Saturday.
Yes.
Then it will happen on the Tuesday after that 7th day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That will be all. Moses, thank you for finding time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate, and it's a pleasure to engage with you. You can reach me on 0722 269 604.
All right. And if you have any questions for us, please write to us at info@cyroglobal.com. That's info@cyroglobal.com, or through our Gmail address, that is cyrolglobal@gmail.com. We'd like to say thanks to our videography crew, Mushiri Frames. We will display their address on the screen, and to Igeri and Goge Advocates for facilitating the shooting of this series. Watch, like, share, and write to us with your compliments, with your questions, with your queries. We are always happy to hear from you. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.